In this episode, I talk with Ben Higgins about being the Bachelor, the last time he cried, following the way of Jesus, and the importance of wearing retainers. So get ready for a wild ride. Also, make sure to stay tuned for the rapid fire questions at the end because Ben's answers are so fun and honest and unexpected that you do not want to miss them.
I was just on a 2-week-long work trip, and I left the house, I got on the plane, and I had forgotten my retainers. I don't know if I'm doing all this correctly. I hope so. I hope to. I'm trying to ask myself the question, is this wise? Is this smart? Is this the right thing? Is that if I have doubts, if I have questions, if I have concerns, that I can give up so many non-essentials as long as I keep Jesus.
Every year, NYU, New York University, gets over 75,000 admissions applications. As part of the applications process, students are asked to fill out their name and address and standard personal info, which is then followed by a generic essay question that's typical of most college applications. The question asks, in order for the admissions staff of our college to get to know you, the applicant, better, we ask that you answer the following question. Are there any significant experiences you've had or accomplishments you've realized that have helped to define you as a person? Several years ago, NYU received one application that stood out from the other 75,000 because in response to this first essay question about the significant experiences that have shaped them, a high school student named Hugh Gallagher wrote this response. I am a dynamic figure, often seen scaling walls and crushing ice. I've been known to remodel train stations on my lunch breaks, making them more efficient in the area of heat retention. I translate ethnic slurs for Cuban refugees. I write award-winning operas. I manage time efficiently. Occasionally, I tread water for 3 days in a row. I woo women with my sensuous and godlike trombone playing. I can pilot bicycles up severe inclines with unflagging speed, and I cook 30-minute brownies in 20 minutes. I'm an expert in stucco, a veteran in love, and an outlaw in Peru. Using only a hoe and large glass of water, I once single-handedly defended a small village in the Amazon basin from a horde of ferocious army ants. I play bluegrass cello. I'm the subject of numerous documentaries. When I'm bored, I build large suspension bridges in my yard. I enjoy urban hang gliding, and on Wednesdays after school, I repair electrical appliances free of charge. I'm an abstract artist, a concrete analyst, and a ruthless bookie. Critics worldwide swoon over my original line of corduroy evening wear. I don't perspire. I'm a private citizen, yet I receive fan mail. Last summer, I toured New Jersey with a traveling centrifugal force demonstration. My deft floral arrangements have earned me fame in international botany circles. Children love me. I balance, I weave, I dodge, I frolic, and my bills are all paid. On weekends, to let off steam, I participate in full contact origami. Years ago, I discovered the meaning of life, but forgot to write it down. I breed prize-winning clams. I have won bullfights in San Juan, cliff diving competitions in Sri Lanka, and spelling bees at the Kremlin. I've played Hamlet, I've performed open-heart surgery, and I have spoken with Elvis, but I have not yet gone to college. Isn't that fantastic? Needless to say, Hugh Gallagher was accepted to NYU, his dream school, with open arms. So what makes this essay so unexpected? One thing is that college essays aren't usually the place where you boast about your sensuous trombone playing. But the other thing that's so unexpected and extraordinary about this essay is that Hugh Gallagher disrupted the system, and it changed everything for his future. Which is a really important truth to remember, that sometimes life requires disrupting the current values and expectations we have for ourselves in order to pursue our dreams. And this truth in so many ways sums up how my guest today lives his life. Ben Higgins was Season 20's Bachelor, and he currently hosts 2 podcasts for iHeartRadio. The Almost Famous podcast with Ashley Iconetti, as well as Lady Bosses and Ben. He's also an entrepreneur and most recently has taken on the leadership of Generous Coffee, a company that's fueling the work of nonprofits around the world. I really love this conversation with Ben because he isn't afraid to disrupt the system. He doesn't fit into neat boxes, and he's bravely changing up his focus by taking on the leadership of a new company and doing it with tenacity and heart. It is disruption at its finest. One last thing that's really going to bring some added joy to your day. In the interview you're about to hear, I mentioned a video that Ben and I filmed a few months ago. We put together an homage to James Corden's Carpool Karaoke, and it is definitely something that you need to see. And it's going to be up on the homepage of my website, which is mandyarioto.com, for the next few days in case you want to see Ben's signature dance moves and hear about his crush on Kelly Kapowski. And also make sure to watch it to the very end because the way it wraps up is the most precious thing your eyes will see today. And so without further ado, here's my friend, Ben Higgins. I am so excited to talk with you. And last time we talked, I asked if you had a memorable moment from behind the scenes of The Bachelor, and you shared about the time you went swimming with the pigs on a date. And so will you share about what happened? Because I just love this story, and in so many ways it normalizes the whole experience for all of us. So would you talk about that?
Yeah, I'd love to. The Bachelor was, when you watch it, it's luxurious and it's elegant and there's funny moments and it's weird, but when you see it, you see all these terrific dates and the dates are terrific. I mean, they're just incredible. But there's a moment in time when I was on the show. We went to the Bahamas and swam with the pigs. It's a popular kind of activity. I took the women on a date. It was a big group date, and we're swimming with the pigs. We're having a great time. And then that night after the date, we're all back. Everybody started to get like a queasy stomach. Nobody felt good. And the next day we woke up and everybody had the worst like dysentery that you could ever imagine. And the doctors on the show traced it back to the fact that when you're swimming with the pigs, you're like, no matter if you know it or not, you're like pretty much swallowing like pig poop. You're swimming in the water that they're pooping in. And so all of us got like ferociously sick. So all the women are sick to their stomachs. I'm sick to my stomach for about 4 days just because of this one location, this one date. And so it normalized everybody because instead of us trying to like act like we had it all together, nobody could. We actually had to cancel a cocktail party that night because nobody was in the mood. Nobody could literally be in a room for an hour standing without having to rush to the restroom. So we had to cancel a party just because everybody was so sick.
So terrible and so normalizing, like you said, like, oh my gosh, just that
Yeah.
element of being human.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, you see, I mean, you're probably at the end of this gonna, if you don't get engaged, you're gonna probably be falling in love with somebody. And
You're going to
I mean,
see
this is
that in
part of love, right?
yeah.
I guess.
So true. Okay, Ben, I appreciate a man who is committed. And
Mm.
one example of your level of commitment is that you wear your retainer every single night without fail. Is that true? Every night?
It is. Oh, it is. If so, here's an example. I was just on a 2 week long travel work trip, and I left the house. I got on the plane, and I had forgotten my retainers. And so I texted my buddy to go to my house. I left the key outside, just in case of emergencies. This wasn't an emergency. He ran into my house, overnighted my retainers to Los Angeles so I could wear them for the rest of the trip because I could not go more than like I can't go a night. But I have gone a night recently without him, and it
Does
stresses
it
me
like
out.
throw the whole day off the next day?
It does. Yeah, you feel out of balance. You feel like you've done something wrong. You feel like you're not as responsible as you need to be. Your whole world gets shaken if you forget the
I
retainers.
appreciate that, Ben. And I think that says a lot about who you are as a person. So, yeah,
I agree.
that's impressive. Okay, everybody at some point in their life has to deal with negative feedback. And being a very public
Mhm.
figure, you are no exception. But I have to say, you navigate it with so much class and dignity and kindness. And so, what tips do you have for anyone at this moment who's dealing with some criticism that just feels really hard to navigate?
Well, there's a couple things to look at it. One, if you're getting criticized, at least you're putting yourself in a place to be criticized. And so at some level, you're doing something that people recognize. And I think in life, at least for me growing up, you're kind of shunned if you did anything that got recognition or that got you in the spotlight. And I just don't see that being the case anymore. I think we're all made to be leaders. I think we're all made to be legacy builders. I think we're all made to change the world, even if it's a little bit. And so if you're trying to do that, or if you're doing that, you're going to be criticized, because not everybody's going to be a fan of you, or some people are going to be jealous of you. I also think that the note here is we've all felt this. It's easy to be critical. So as I read or hear or see critics, I understand why they are being critical. I understand that it's easy to point fingers and to see holes in the mission or the vision that the other person's trying to complete. I also know that jealousy and pride exist, and those things are huge factors into how some of the most destructive things that have happened in the world today. And so with all that, I guess if I have a critic, if I see a critic, I want to try to relate first with them and see why they're being this way. Most of the time it's not anything that I've done wrong. It's just that they don't think maybe I'm doing something right, or they maybe haven't done it themselves, and so they're a little upset with themselves. And why would I, if they're already upset with themselves, want to cause more pain and more damage to who they are as a person by getting upset or lashing out or getting angry? And so really how I want to do this is just let them know, here's my stance in life. I don't know if I'm doing all this correctly. I hope so. I hope to. I'm trying to ask myself the question, is this wise? Is this smart? Is this the right thing? But when there's a critic out there, I want to listen a little bit, because they might be seeing something that I'm not. But if I then see that I think they're wrong, I just want to let them know, well, this is where I'm coming from. This is why I'm coming from this position. I hope that you can continue to keep me accountable. But also, please remember that this is a mission that I've tried to attack, and it's not easy. And so I just would love your support or your loving feedback. But personally, attacking me is not beneficial for anybody involved.
Brilliant. It's like this mixture of confidence in who you are as a human being and the things that you're being called to do, and also this humility of like, okay, I'm still open-handed to hear if there's things that I'm missing. So good. Okay, we filmed a video together a few months ago. And when you left the mop's office, everyone who was there just kind of looked at each other and was like, he is the best guy ever, like a phenomenal human being. And so thank you so much for being the real deal. And while we were filming, you shared about Generous Coffee, and I was so impressed with the good that you're doing in the world. And so will you talk about how Generous Coffee started and your new role in leading the company?
Yeah, well, this is the best podcast I've done in a while. You're making me feel good. Yeah, geez. Thank you. But I think to go back to your original statement, it's great that people think highly of me, or they view me in that light. And that's really awesome. And I hope to always be someone that people view as, trustworthy and a person of character. I'm trying, at least. And it really only comes from, I think, the life that Jesus is pointing us towards. And, saying that, even at times when I want to be selfish, or I want to be angry, or want to be prideful, I mean, even at 29 years old, I guess I've done that so many times in my life. I've been angry, I've been prideful, I've been jealous, and all those things, that it never brought me any peace, any joy, or any understanding. And so I think because of my failures now, I'm just seeing that if you can live a life where you're lifting people up and living a life of joy and living a life that Jesus kind of spoke to and pointed us to, this whole thing just is a lot more fun. So yeah, I mean, it's great, but trust me, there's my life is scarred and marked with many, many downturns and many things that I've done incorrectly. But one of the things that I don't think I've done incorrectly is starting Generous. And so Generous is a company that was formed a year ago last week. We were created with the purpose of selling products with stories behind them, mostly coffee. We also do T-shirts that are made in Haiti by out of plastic water bottles. In Haiti, these T-shirts are manufactured by single mothers who are paid above the minimum wage, and they're given insurance and retirement plans and healthcare and vacation time and an air-conditioned facility. It's an amazing project that we partner with AllMade on. But what we want to do at Generous is to be the funding source, or the engine, to support nonprofits or organizations that are building some type of sustainable change in the world through community development. So let's flash back a little bit. 8 years ago, my buddy started a nonprofit called Humanity and Hope United. The purpose of Humanity and Hope United is to partner with communities in the developing world, partner with them to help them build a sustainable future by going down there and asking them, what do you need and what do you want and what do you dream of? And then Humanity and Hope doesn't give them anything, but we partner with them then to help them pursue their dreams. And that's been incredibly effective and incredibly successful. But we wanted to find a way to sustainably support the organization so that we could focus less on the day-to-day asking for dollars and instead be able to focus on the mission. And so that's where Generous came in. It's a for-profit, for-purpose company created to sell these products, like I said, donate the profits back to the nonprofits. Humanity and Hope is our main beneficiary. They receive 10% of our revenue off the top each quarter, and then we have 3 to 5% that we distribute to other organizations. This is our current giving model, and that's up to kind of the founders and where we're at as an organization. But Generous is incredible. We sell the best quality coffee in the world. It's traceable. It's single origin. You go to the farms and see the farmers that are producing it for you. And it's been this wild ride that now I've been operating for since January of 2018. And I've enjoyed every second of it. It is something that is working. It's not easy. It has its ups and downs, but it is a really terrific experience for me.
And so if someone wants to pick up some coffee, where do they go?
generouscoffee.com. You can go and subscribe. We'll deliver coffee to your door as much as you want, or you can buy one-off bags. You can buy one-time orders. You can buy t-shirts there. generouscoffee.com. Please do. It is, a lot of people out there drink coffee. Most people drink coffee, and if you do drink coffee, our little tagline is, why not make it life-changing coffee? And it really is. We only exist to be an engine to give back, and it's volunteer ran and operated. I'm a volunteer. We have one paid employee at this point. This is just really a passion project to see if something like this can work.
It's so exciting. And also go and pick up an amazing t-shirt that's the softest t-shirt you will ever wear in your entire life. And you're helping women out in Haiti. So super cool. We both go to the same church here in Denver. And we both have similar convictions about how the message of Jesus can occasionally get distorted by judgmental religiosity. And so it makes me so happy that you follow Jesus and we're also the Bachelor, and that you lead an amazing nonprofit doing so much good in the world and also can live it up at the AMAs. Because following Jesus for me is both at the same time, right? It's like all of it. It's holy and deep, but it's also fun and takes us places that we would never expect. And so, is there anything that you're learning right now in your life about faith, or is there anything God's kind of showing you or talking to you about?
Oh my, yeah. I mean, it's, I think we have so much deconstruction to do. We have since Jesus's death, and we're constantly learning and growing and figuring this whole thing out. And I guarantee there's things that I do in my everyday and I think are great things that one day I'll find out maybe weren't as fruitful or as healthy as they needed to be or should have been or whatever. But that's the beauty of this whole thing, is that I don't have to beat myself up over it. And so what Jesus is showing me now is that if I have doubts, if I have questions, if I have concerns, that I can give up so many non-essentials as long as I keep Jesus. And he won't, as much and as many times as I've wanted to give up Jesus because I've been angry or confused or this world doesn't make sense. And I've said, there has to be no God. There is no God. I don't get it. He doesn't allow me to leave him. And that to me is one of the most beautiful things I could ever have in a God that I just need to get on my knees and worship, because he won't allow me to leave him, but he will allow me to grow and to be stretched and to see and to feel times of difficulty and times of emotion. And all those things are good to feel and see, but he will never leave me or allow me to leave him. And I think that's one of the things right now he's showing me. It's just that he loves that this relationship is deep, and it's a lot more, just a lot deeper than anything that I can really imagine at this point.
So good. Love it. Okay, now I would like to talk about a very important and controversial topic: taking your shoes off on an airplane.
Yeah, terrible.
Not long ago, you tweeted that you were on a flight and the girl next to you took off her shoes. And I similarly have had a situation where I was sitting next to a guy on an airplane. He was in the middle seat. He was a yogi out of Boulder, and he took his shoes off and then crossed his legs like crisscross applesauce style. And then when he did that, his sweaty bottom of his foot was like pressed up against my thigh. And so, where do you land on the whole shoes on the airplane issue?
There's so many things on an airplane that we need to get over and figure out, because there's this other thing where the armrest. And so like last night I was on a plane and the guy next to me had really hairy arms, and I'm not, I have body hair
No
myself,
judgment
but
on the
his
arm hair. You're just noticing.
No, none at all.
Right.
But he had it pressed up against
Oh.
me, and we couldn't figure out how to position ourselves. And so I ended up, not because I wanted to, but I took my arms and I just put them to my side. I wasn't even had my arms on the armrest, so he scooted his even further, and I could just feel his arm hair tickling my arm. It's really gross. And then let's flash back to the scenario you're talking about. I sat next to a woman on a plane. She takes off her shoes. She doesn't just take off her shoes. She does what you said. She like sticks her foot underneath the one leg and like allows it to press up against me. And it's just, it felt intrusive. It feels like none of us want to be sitting on a plane next to a bunch of strangers pressing up against them. And so let's make this as easy on each other as possible. And to make it as easy on each other as possible, unless you're paying for first class, you don't get the luxury of, spreading your legs out, stretching out across the seat, taking your shoes off. Like that, I'm sorry, we're in coach. We have to do this together and deal with each other. And in order to do that, like, please leave as much amount of clothing on as possible. And I'll do the same to you. I promise you don't want me doing it either.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. I feel like that's just a PSA that we can offer the world right now.
Yeah,
make everyone's life easier.
I agree. It's just a lot.
Have you had any other like really strange things happen on an airplane?
Oh, of course. I mean, I've been known to complain about the exit and enter strategies of an airplane. Like what is or not. So I don't understand when you're on an airplane. It's very clear how people should get off, right? It's the front row first, second, third, fourth, and so on. It's always
very orderly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
just follow the system.
Getting off. All of us are going to be getting off. I never understand this. Why, when the plane like little sound comes, everybody jumps up and runs out to the aisle as fast as possible. Wait your turn. Like it doesn't. Like I'm not going to fight you for position in the aisle, and I don't want to have to fight you for position in the aisle. But if you continue to just step in front of me as I'm waiting, I'm going to cut somebody off, and it's going to get ugly, and it's going to put me in a position that I don't want to be.
Yes. I hear that, Ben.
Yeah.
Thank you for saying that as well.
Yeah.
It's the things that we're all thinking, and I appreciate that you're saying it out loud right now.
Yeah, we this is a really easy space to say it because it's not confrontational. And so if you're out there and you're listening and you fly, just keep these things in mind. You'll be appreciated for them. You might not ever
don't press your arm hair up against the person next to you.
Don't do it. I won't do it to you. You won't do it to me. We're gonna be good. Let's figure out our arm positions from the very beginning. We won't be switching it up on each other. You know what? If you're on the window seat and you have to use the restroom, just tap me on the shoulder. I would love to get up and let you do that. We can make this thing as a really great experience if we're all in it together.
Have you ever had the situation where you have earbuds in and you're just trying to be chill and like not have a conversation, and the person next to you is like, "Hey, how you doing?" And you have to take them out, and then you have to talk for like 2 hours because they feel chatty?
Yeah. You know what? I don't handle that one very well. The plane is my time alone.
Do you shut it down? You're like, sorry,
I put it back on. So I say,
okay.
I talk and, hey, how are you? Hey, great to sit next to you. This is going to be awesome, isn't it? This flight is going to be as exciting as any I've ever been on, and then say hope all is well. And at that point, once you say hope all is well, if you get them on quick enough, it's done. Like you know what? You've ended the conversation, you've sent the message, and you've been courteous enough to say this just isn't for me. Because you know what? Some people, I love Bob Goff. Bob Goff is a great author, very
Yes.
loving man, and I have imagined Bob Goff as an airplane talker. Um, I just have a feeling that he really probably wants to get to know you on his flights, and that when you
I
sit
think you're
next to
right.
him, you are
Yeah.
going to be talking. And as much as I would love to even talk, I mean, Bob Goff is one of my heroes. I don't think I would even like to talk to Bob Goff on a plane. It just feels like that's not a good time for us.
I'm with you on that. That is like sacred space right there. And I really like your strategy. I'm going to utilize that next time.
Let me
Just
know
shut
how
it down, put the earbuds in, and you're good to go.
it goes. I think that sounds great. Try it.
Okay, just a few rapid fire questions for you. Are you up for that?
I am definitely.
Okay, favorite thing that's happened to you in the past week?
AMAs, American Music Awards. I went 2 nights ago. It was incredible.
Did you dance your buns off?
I did. But you know what? The one negative is it's the standing and sitting of award shows. And so it's
Yeah.
sitting during commercial breaks, and then when anybody gets an award, you stand, or any performance, you stand. So it's like church back in the old days when I used to go to
Yeah.
Methodist church. It's a lot of
You get a
standing.
good thigh workout, a lot of squats.
My knees hurt, today.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Okay, best book you've read in the past 5 years, and you can't say the Bible because that's a given.
Yeah, I would say Everybody Always, or Love the. I just finished Everybody Always. Well, actually, you know what? Scary Close was
Oh,
really
yes.
impactful for me,
Yeah,
and really good for me. So I would say Scary Close or Everybody Always.
love it. Did you see that Bob has a new kids book out that's Love Does, but for kids?
I did. I actually just got an email about that this morning saying that if I wanted one, I could find my way to get one.
I think you should.
I
Definitely.
will. Yeah. So those books are really good. I mean, they're recent reads, and so 5 years. I have this issue where I don't remember a lot of what I read, and so those books still are things that I can remember and pull from. So it makes it to me seem like they're important for me to say, are some of my favorites.
Totally. Last time you cried.
Oh my, that's been a bit. I used to. I'm a pretty emotional guy. Oh, you know what? No, it's not true. It hasn't been a bit. Um, Lexington, Kentucky. I was speaking at Joseph and Beth bookstores last month about Generous, which I've spoken about 30 times in public settings, and for some reason this time, when I started to talk about the people that we are partnering with in these communities, I don't know what it was, but I broke down. I
Mhm.
it came out of nowhere. It actually kind of was nice because, as you probably know, when you get into this thing and it's a daily process and a daily grind, and you're working all the time on what the mission and the vision, I feel like I get desensitized, or it's easy to get desensitized to exactly why we started, and so I stopped feeling the emotion of why this whole thing came. When we started Generous, my heart was broken for
Mhm.
these people. I needed to find a way to help. Now I still think I feel that, but it's also my job now, and so I'm in it all the time, and I'm working on the business side of it, and so it felt kind of good to break down again, because
Totally.
it reminded me that I still feel it and I still care.
That is beautiful. And I bet the audience really just like were with you in it. There's something about tears that just like super compelling and special. Okay, next question. Favorite room in your house?
I'm a big fan. So I have this thing that I do. My house is very, very small. So when you say favorite room, it's like the bathroom, the bedroom, or the living room. But I do have a house. And I have this tradition where when I'm starting to feel sucked dry, which I've started to feel more and more recently, um, I end my workday a little early. I go and get a good workout in, and then I come home and I turn off all the lights in my house. This is weird. This is gonna get odd.
I'm with you. I'm with you. You just go there.
And I put on um, usually like a Ray LaMontagne or Amos Lee or like some type of like Bon Iver, some type of like folky music with all the lights off again. And then I have a tobacco pipe that I've smoked since college,
Yes.
uh, and not every night, but I would say at least once or twice a week. And I light that thing up. I grab a bottle or a glass of bourbon, and I sit there and I just let my mind go. And I just let everything leave me. And I just let my mind go wherever it needs to go in that time. And I can do that for 3 or 4 hours. And I will then, once I'm done, like clockwork. I know when I'm done because it's no longer enjoyable to me. I stick everything in this on this little tray and I put it back on my shelf and I turn on all the lights and it's just this like renewing of my spirit. Like I am never more alive. I never feel more at peace. I never feel closer to God during those 4 hours. I feel like I'm just with Him and He's with me. And um, it is that. So I guess to go back to your original question, the living room is my favorite place because that's where this happens. And it's in any house I've ever lived in, wherever I feel comfortable is where I do this practice, and that's ends up being my favorite place.
Okay, I'm so down with that. And I'm curious, how did you figure out that that was the thing?
Um, well, it was interesting. So this pipe represents much more than me to me than just a pipe. And so in college, my buddy had a pipe, and everybody used to make fun of him. He was a great dude, awesome guy, but different, just unlike anything any of us had ever seen or felt or seen before. And he had this pipe that his grandpa gave him, and he would smoke, and everybody make fun of him, and I would make fun of him too. I'm not perfect, but then one day he was sitting with me alone, and he's like, he's smoking it. I said, "What is it about this thing?" And he's like, "Just try it." He's like, "It just relaxes me," and so I did. And at that moment, I was like, "I like this," and so I got one for myself, and I was studying one night, and I just realized that I was so much more at peace and relaxed, and I had this thing to help calm me and focus me, and as I studied, I just felt more productive, and then I just sat back and I still I think have this journal. That same night I wrote in my journal for the first time ever. I don't know if I've ever written in a journal since. And I wrote these beautiful poems. At least they're beautiful to me. I was like, I just feel more at peace in this moment than I have in a long time. And it's just kind of now built on itself. And I'm an only child. I'm an introvert at heart. I test pretty high on the introvert scale. But I love people and I love being around people. And so for me to kind of refresh myself, I need to be alone. And so this kind of just this practice kind of just built on itself. And now over time, I feel like I've not perfected it, but gotten to a place where those are some of my three favorite things. I've said many times, you can take a lot of things away from me, but I'd have a really hard time in life if you took away Jesus, my pipe, and a bottle of bourbon. And so I guess if I could do all those three things at once, I'm doing pretty good.
That is so fantastic. Okay, when you were in Lexington, did you pick up some amazing bourbon?
I did not. I've done this new thing now. Listen to this. This is crazy. This is over the last month. I don't drink Monday through Thursday at all. And so I used to have like a cocktail a night was kind of my thing. I'd come home and make one cocktail and I'd call it well. Um, and that never caused me any issues, but mostly because of dieting reasons. My friends were all like, "Dude, you've got to stop. Your metabolism is messing up. You're consuming too much sugar at night." And I was like, "Whatever. All right." So now I'm not Monday through Thursday, and I spoke. That was on a Tuesday.
Okay. So it's your off
So I
day.
did. It's my
Got
off
it.
day. Yeah, it's been an interesting deal for me. It's been good. I don't know if I think my old practice had more benefits than this like weird diet that I'm on.
All right. I respect that. And there's nothing I enjoy more than a person who like knows themselves. And I feel like that is so indicative. Like, you know, your practices, you know, what causes you to connect with God. So I'm all about that. Okay. Couple more questions. One, did you get an offer to be on The Bachelor for this upcoming season and you turned it down?
That's a good question. Um, we did. We had a conversation. An offer is different than what we did. So they came to me. They said, "Hey, are you single?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "Are you interested in doing it again?" And I said, "No, because of generous and the
Mm.
things that are happening in my life. It doesn't fit right now. Not that I'm against it. Not that I would never do it again. I hope I never have the opportunity to do it again. I hope to be in a relationship at some point in my life.
So you're not opposed, but it just wasn't a good
No.
season.
Yeah, and so I never got an
Okay.
offer, but I think if I would have said yes, I think the likelihood of me doing it again would, or them going through with having me do it again would be pretty high. Just because we have a good relationship. I think we've done this once before. They've seen how much I really wanted it. They see how much I really want it today. I know that it can work, even though it's funky and weird. But I think all in all, like I think they see that this could be beneficial for both parties, and so I wouldn't be surprised if I'm single next year, then I get asked one more time. I mean, I'm only 29. Like, I still get some.
Totally. What is the last thing you cooked?
Oh, good question. It's chili. So it's chili season for me.
Do you have like a favorite recipe, or are you just freestyling?
Oh yeah, I would love to tell you it. But chili's a big deal in the Midwest, and so it's a secret recipe. I will give you one hint. Cumin is the secret recipe in any good chili.
Interesting. Okay. Okay, last question. What's one thing you want to do career-wise that you haven't had a chance to do yet?
Wow. I would love one day for Jenner's to be my full-time paid job. It just isn't there yet. It's growing really quickly, but it's not smart for us to make to take a salary from it. I would love to be able to do that. I would also love that for Jenner's to be bigger than anything that we ever imagined. To be kind of that consulting force or that kind of knowledge base for social responsible business. I think we have something special. I think this model for business is something special, and I'd love for Jenner's to kind of be that brand that we look at when we think of businesses set up this way.
That is awesome. And it's on its way there, it seems like.
I hope so. We're trying really hard.
All right. I have one last question that I like to ask all my friends. And that question is, what is the best advice you never got?
Best advice I never got. I would say I'd say don't be afraid of leaving a legacy. And I think in the church growing up, it was confusing on where we stood as people in this world. And sometimes you hear that we're meaningless and worthless, and we've sinned and gone completely against God, and as a result, God had to sacrifice Jesus just so we could even function. And there's a lot of theological questions amongst what I just said, but to break that all down, what it leaves a little kid believing is that they're worthless, and that their legacy doesn't matter, and that their life really doesn't matter because it's all worthless in the end. And I think that couldn't be further from the truth. I don't think that's at all what Jesus intended for us to feel or be or see and operate as. And so I think for me, even though my family was always proponents of lifting me up and helping me pursue my dreams, I don't think I even realized that I needed that advice until recently, where don't be afraid to actually do something, and don't be afraid to actually try to leave a mark on this world for the better.
Revolutionary. So good. Hey, Ben, thank you so much. It's been such a treat to get to spend a few minutes chatting with you. I so appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for listening today. Now make sure to go to my website, which is mandyariota.com, to check out the hilarious video of Ben and I singing Carpool Karaoke. And also, while you're there, you can download the first chapter of my new book that's not coming out till April. You can get a sneak peek and download the first chapter. I'm so excited about it, and I can't wait to hear what you think. So go on my Instagram or on Facebook and leave me a message or a comment about what you thought of the first chapter. And now, go out and have more fun, and don't come back until you do. Sunshine.